Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. So I want to get right into the questions this week, but before then, I want to show you guys something that I ordered. You can kind of see it already. You're probably wondering, what kind of shirt is he wearing that's see-through? Because obviously it means it's like a green or a greenish hue of some kind. So why don't I just show you this shirt real quick. I'm going to have to get away from the microphone a little bit in order to show it. And somebody tweeted this at me. It was like a Teespring campaign, and I was like, I gotta have this shirt because I'm gonna see Yoshi P at some point in my life again, and I would definitely want to be wearing this shirt when I see him. So there you go. I don't think you can still get it unless they open the campaign up again, but it worked pretty good. So I hope that people don't mind that you can basically see Dwayne in the background through my chest right here, and yeah. I look forward to wearing this next time I see Yoshi P because that is a story to tell. And I want a picture of him seeing me wearing this. So I should have got a spare one for him. Damn it. All right. Anyway, let's get to the question on the forums. We have quite a few. All right, question numero uno. Hello, Mr. Happy. Final sim here, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, the weekly Q&A show where, okay, if it's about free chickens again this week, man, I can't do it. I can't do it. Is PvP currently really the fastest way of leveling jobs? For DPS, it is, only because of the queue times. If you have a tanker or a healer friend, though, DPS are better off queuing into dungeons post-level 60, and before level 60, Palace of the Dead. Even 60 to 61, Palace of the Dead is still good, but after 61, PvP starts to take it over. I still prefer to just, like, find a tanker or healer in like one of my link shells or free companies and see if they want to run dungeons together or look for ones that specifically are in the process of leveling, or level a tanker or healer myself. Either of those will work for me. One more, are the I-270 tank accessories really better for tanks than the 320 fit? In terms of, so on Susano and Lakshmi, the added health from the 320 accessories is unnecessary. So tanks are running the strength accessories on that content in particular. I really hope this doesn't survive more than another week or two in terms of like balancing. I hope they just straight up patch it out so that tanks can't wear those strength accessories because it's silly. I do think that it's silly that they moved their scaling back over to strength just because of weakness and brink of death, lowering strength so they could lower the damage output of tanks. I think they should just make weakness, brink of death, flat damage reduction, and then move the scaling back over to vitality. I know it's annoying to flop back and forth, but I don't know. I liked when it was based off vitality, even based off vitality and strength. I felt like that was a good place for tanks to be, and I'd like to see them return to that. All right, question number 2. Hey there, Mr. Happy. Haven't asked in a while, so I have a returner bonus of your choice. 1, a week's supply of hamburgers, a week's supply of pizza, or a week's supply of seafood. Dude, a week's supply of seafood is way more expensive than the other two, so I'm going to go with that. Plus, I can portion it out a little bit more, and it's going to be good, as long as it doesn't go rotten, because it's going to take me the whole week to eat it. So, Summoner before Stormblood. Why the hell am I a dot class? I want big-ass pets. Now that Summoner's after Stormblood, what the hell happened to my dots? Summoner is so boring now. Bahamut's too big. He keeps getting in the way. Think Summoners will ever be able to please people when it comes to this job? No. I'm actually surprised they pleased people with Samurai and Red Mage, but Summoner was always in a spot where it was going to be really awkward, because again, the big pets in combat are more annoying than the big pets in town. So I think the big thing is people want a nice looking pet. I think even if Ifrit Eggy and Garuda Eggy looked cooler and were maybe even just slightly bigger, people would complain a little bit less, as opposed to Bahamut, where it's the opposite side, where it's a full scale, like full version of what Bahamut's supposed to look like, but he's so big he gets away. Personally, I'm of the opinion, if you know a mechanic is coming, Bahamut's never in your way. It's only when you're first learning a fight and you like, if you legit can't see the marker. But if you know, okay, lightning markers are coming next. Oh, I don't see a lightning marker. You know, let me make sure I can actually see everything on the screen. They may give him a transparency change, though. We'll see what they end up doing with that. But yeah, no, summoners are always going to be hard to please, man. That's what Eggy Glamour is going to be for. Number 3, yo Haps, you cheated on my last question roulette. No, you gave me 3 shitty questions on your last question roulette. There's a very big difference. So you said the Liberator with the Iron Fist. I'm just going to scroll up real quick and make sure that that's not a spoiler question. Oh, okay, that's not a spoiler question. Okay, do you think Lee should be a playable character in Tekken 7? I don't know what it is with you. These are not good questions. No, she has nothing to do with Tekken. Who cares? You need to take a step back with all these question roulettes that you do every week, all right? And you need to just like think about them and like put them forward in something that, I don't know, I can answer. I think it's the best way to put it. On that note, number 4, hello again, Mr. Happy. I know job questions aren't your favorite, but I've been curious about something since I started 14 a month ago. This might be a different type of job question than if you only started playing a month ago. For my first ever character, I chose Thaumaturge because it's described as a glass cannon. To me, the glass cannon is the ultimate DPS machine that no other job can match. But I found out there are some jobs that output way more. Why is Black Mage still called the DPS job? And what? So Black Mage isn't really even the glass cannon. They should technically be the glass cannon of casters, but even then, they actually have some pretty good defensive options for themselves at the very least in terms of mobility and absorbing damage and stuff like that. So they actually have decent options. A lot of people have been suggesting that Black Mage should be brought up a little bit potency-wise because they, considering they don't bring much unique to the raid group, may need that kind of like almost that samurai level of contribution in order to make them, I guess, acceptable with where they are. But a lot of Black Mage I speak to, they seemed very content with the way it is and the way it plays, and foul. So it's a tough spot. I'd rather the Black Mages of Eorzea definitely be the ones to share their opinions about that, and not me, because I haven't played it. I literally didn't get to play it at the Media Tour. I haven't played it since it launched. I haven't played it, so I can't say yet. All right, question number 5. Happy again, Happy. Happy again, Huh? Anyway, twice Ixion Fate has spawned Excalibur, and twice it has caused a zone. I can guarantee you it's spawned more than twice, and I guarantee you it's caused more than 2 zone DCs. Feels reminiscent of Odin. What can Square Enix do? I mean, maybe make, I don't know, man. With these, it's tough because no matter what it is, it doesn't have to do with like rendering. Odin sometimes just didn't render on your screen. They fixed that. So that was one of the big things with Odin. It's just, there's literally too many people. That's what happens when you give these like super fates, like a super like unique reward, like the Ixion mount, and everyone wants it and people are camping out for it. And I mean, it is what it is. The only way you're going to improve this is to specifically allocate more resources towards the zone where something like that spawns. And even then, that's a short-term thing because eventually people just kind of lose interest in these things. Odin, everyone went crazy for a while, and then it was just dead. No one would even bother killing it. Oh, S rank is up? Oh, Odin is up? S rank. Got it. Ixion drops a mount, though, so it's a bit of a different story. It may have some more longevity in terms of people interested in obtaining said mount. So it may be worth going through and adding more resources to the locks, especially once they take away the instances. They could just take all that extra and push it towards the one instance. I don't know that they will, but we'll see if that's how it pans out. Number 6, Haps, first-time asker, long-time viewer. You, sir, make my 14 experience much more enjoyable for that. Here, have a bonus of an exclusive buff to deep meditation, making it so direct hits also proc. You're a good person. You're a good person. As a main monk myself, here's the question. I just recently hit 70 and started doing roulettes with monk for tombstones. I realized the reduced potency of Forbidden Chakra kind of makes dungeons level 60 feel like I lack something. Like there's something Square Enix doing about it in future patches. No. We get so... Let's think of it this way. I know at level 60, it's level 60. That's not max level. Like jobs are always generally designed to function at full efficiency at level 70. At 60, yeah, it's a little less potency, but you still feel like a monk at the core. The big difference is at 70, you'll go from using 1, 2, 3 Forbidden Chakras in an entire fight, where you were at 60, to using, like, a ridiculous number of them, especially in, like, Susano and Lakshmi, when you have, like, balanced groups with lots of physical DPS, and you're just getting, like, 3 Forbidden Chakras every Brotherhood, plus any downtime you can get to generate meditation stacks as well. So I feel like the loss of 70 potency is well worth the amount of Forbidden Chakras we get to pull off now, even if they're somewhat gated behind RNG. Number 7, hi Haps, no bonus for you this week as I am asked somewhat regularly. So instead, I'm going to give Aloha either his choice of gourmet cat foods or a string to play with. He has both those things, so I don't know if he needs it. And he's fat, so he'll take the food. On to the question, being British, we're all about good manners, don't you know? It's a great way to start it. And you Americans love to blunder in and say whatever takes your fancy. Oh, is this where you talk about where I say knobs? Anyway, I've been running into lower level characters as I'm doing hunts and whatnot, and if I ever see a low level character in a quest battle, I always stop by and lend a hand, even if I'm so far ahead that I one-shot them. My question is this rude? Nah, man, I love it when high level people used to run by and just knock shit out for me real quick. It's like, thanks, you're a good person. I'm never like, you ruined my immersion. Listen, if that's ruining your immersion, then your immersion's probably going to get ruined many a time over the course of the next. Like if you're immersed, I am the warrior of light, and I am the sole hero of this realm. You queue into fucking your first like dungeon, and you're like, I'm gonna need all of you to leave the instance. I need to be the only hero here. Come on now. You know, I can't think of any other way to really think about it that way. I don't think there's any etiquette. You're doing a good thing. Number 8, Morning Haps. 2 questions about being a newer returning player to the game, both of which are fairly short if you have the time. Do you feel Final Fantasy XIV is a good MMO for players new to the genre? I feel like it's designed to be. Over the years, they've added so many systems on top of systems on top of systems that I guess once you've played 14, going to other MMOs, it's generally easier to pick up on the ridiculous number of systems that other games might have, but ours are definitely more ridiculous. They just keep like saying, oh yeah, and then you have this, then you have that, then you have that, quality of life this, quality of life that, and it's like, all right, dude, there's like 14 things on top of what I knew like 4 years ago. You're going to have to stop for a second. What's this challenge log? How do I do this Hall of the Novice? And what is this new feature? Oh, what is going on here? So many things. So at first, it's if you take it slow, it's easier, but it does get way more complicated, I feel, than other MMOs as you get into things a little bit later. And number 2, is it good for MMO players who can't play for long uninterrupted sessions? Yeah, a lot of MMOs coming out in the last year or two, even Legion looking at World of Warcraft, if you don't have a lot of time to dedicate, it's really hard to stay up to date on some of the rewards. Like Legion looking at artifact power, looking at a game like BDO or WildStar or things like that. 14, you definitely won't feel like you're up to date all the time if you take lots of breaks or if you find yourself real busy, but you'll always have something to do when you log in, and you'll actually generally get somewhere with what you want to get done, which I think is really their entire point. It's not a game that really is designed at its core to be binge played. It's a game that at its core is designed to have things for binge players, but to generally be something you can log into for a little bit of time and get something done. Number 9, hey Mr. Happy, YouTube watcher and Midgard Summer White Mage here. Ay. As a first-time asker, have some time in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber to catch up on any fitness or other games. Dude, if I went into the Hyperbolic Time Chamber, I would die. All right, I would just be like, it's a lot of gravity. Oh, what's in the fridge? Okay. As for my question, it will be non-14 related. How are you feeling about the .hack GU remaster last recode? So the funny thing about the .hack remaster is that the first thing it makes me think of is the fact that wasn't it the .hack team that was working on the Final Fantasy VII Remake before Square Enix pulled it from their offices very recently? And it's because they wanted to work on this? I don't know what the reason was behind them pulling 7 Remake, but when I think of last recode, I think of the fact that 7 Remake was supposed to be designed to have the games play together between each other, like the way the .hack games were. I very briefly played the .hack game. I don't think it was last recode. I think it was a different one. When I was younger, I had like a demo of it, and I don't know what kept happening. I would just like go in, I'd be fighting enemies, nothing's hitting me, and I'm dead. It wasn't even like nothing hit me. It was just like I got erased. I guess because of one of the game mechanics I didn't understand. But I was pretty young back then. Might be a good time for me to check it out. But we'll see how .hack actually ends up working. Number 10. Hello, Mr. Happy. First-time asker, but long-time watcher, hailing from Famfrit. So have yourself a bonus of 3 Lalafell dancers. Genders may vary. I don't want this. I don't. My question focuses on utility. As you know, the game has various potions that boost the base stat for a small amount of time. The most recent being the infusions. As now the recast time of these is 5 minutes for normal quality, 4.5 minutes for high quality, and the buff only lasts 30 seconds. There are various buffs in a player's arsenal to do similar things. Listen, there's not a whole lot of buffs that increase your main stat by a ridiculous amount. That's a lot of scaling. I mean, I know it doesn't seem like a lot, like, oh, 137, strength, which would be what the HQ infusion would have. 137 strength, that's not a lot. For 30 seconds, that's a huge buff. And the main reason why these probably have longer cooldowns is because they're not built into your job. They're something that I guess you could consider optional. I don't. If you're doing endgame raiding, you should absolutely have infusions when you go into Omega Savage. That being said, considering they're not built into their job, they have to sort of balance it around the idea that it needs to have a long cooldown so that it doesn't favor another job more so than it does another one. Maybe one job can make... If it had a 90-second cooldown, it would go with every Brotherhood and every single Riddle of Fire on my monk. That'd be ridiculous. But if it has 4.5 minutes, then it fits where it fits, everyone's going to be moving through multiple rotations of their opener or what's generally considered their burst combo throughout a fight. So sticking at it a nice, safe 4.5 minutes for this massive stat boost is definitely at least better than it was before, whereas this 15-second boost that was a little stronger, this thing scales way better. And the amount of damage output you'll get from just using an infusion is ridiculous. It's like an eighth of your DPS. Like, it increases it by like that much main stat, because not only is it increasing your main stat, but all your other buffs that are scaling percentage wise are scaling off of that. So it gets insane when you consider that you're buffing the base formula for your damage, and then these damage buffs are scaling off that. So it's insanely powerful, and I just spit everywhere when I said that. Yeah, I don't think they need to be buffed at all. Number 11, hey Mr. Happy, so I watched your vid on overcoming the hostelry tower. Knew there had to be a way up there before watching the vid, hearing about it anywhere else, but I just couldn't find the starting point. Kudos to you on how fast you got up there. It took me 4 hours. Now on to my question. Why doesn't 14 have gliders? Because it's just not a game for gliders, man. Is this a Legend of Zelda thing, man? I mean, you have flying. What's the point of gliders if you have flying? Because ultimately, gliders are ruled out as soon as you have flying. So that's the main reason, because we have flying. Doesn't make sense to have both. Number 12, never sure how to start these things, so I'll simply start with this. Hello from Midgard Summer, first time asker, so I'll let you choose your first time bonus. Instant weight loss and toning the next time you go to the gym. I'm down. You know what? I don't even have to read the rest. Even if I'll take that over never ever have blitzball. I'll take that over New Orleans style shrimp. Easy choice. All right, so questions. One, what have you enjoyed the most or been most impressed by with the implementations of Stormblood? I scrolled a little bit, not far enough. I'd say the narrative, the way the narrative was done, even in some of the side quests, which if you're skipping them, I understand. But there are some that have some pretty solid narratives, way better than a lot of the ones back at Heavensward. So I'd say the narrative. I've been impressed that they've actually improved it and that it feels like a higher budget project that they've gone under, a higher budget product that they've put out. Two, what have you been disappointed with the most since the implementation of the expansion? I feel like there was a lack of forethought with some of the changes to some of the jobs. I don't understand who thought of the lilies thing. I don't know who balanced some of the things or how much time the team spent on some jobs versus other jobs. But I feel like there was just some very clear oversights in job design that just don't ring true. I know you need kind of a larger scale of people to give you feedback on stuff like that, but man, it's almost like other games have this thing called like a PBE or a PTR, a public test realm, where they can like try these things and give feedback on it before it launches. Man, I don't know if we have the technology for that yet. Anyway, question number 3. How would you feel about Binding Coil Bahamut Turn 3-esque minigame in conjunction with the Gold Saucer? We kind of do the gates where you have to do the jump puzzles kind of remind me of Turn 3. Obviously, there's no enemies, but I like jump puzzles. So going back to the Kugane thing earlier, I think there's a jump puzzle that's going to evolve in Rhalgr's Reach. There's the inklings of a jump puzzle in Rhalgr's Reach, but it stops very low at the base of Rhalgr's statue. If we're lucky, by the end of 4.5, that jump puzzle will go all the way to the top. That would be amazing. So, yeah, I'm cool with it. Jump puzzles are fun. Number 13, hey Haps, Fox here, source of Unfairy. Been a long time since I've asked a question. Bonus. Question? Bonus? I don't know why I responded to that the way I would question. Bonus? I don't know why I decided to respond to it that way. It's not a class question, but a question pertaining to a class. Know anyone that makes healer guides? Man, you know, there probably are, but know them? I don't know the ones who make the healer guides. They're out there. They gotta be. Like, they gotta be, right? They gotta be. But no, I don't. So, if you know a healer, obviously, if you post a link in the comment section of the video, I think YouTube will get rid of it. So just say the name of their YouTube channel or the name of what they should search on Google for it. There you go. All right. I was about to say number 14. I read the first question and I already know what the exact question is. This is going to be about, I'd assume, Geomancer in a sense here. For those who don't know, I don't even have to read the question. There's a Geomancer in one of the quest stories for one of the jobs, Astrologian in particular. I don't even think this needs a spoiler cover-up. For the job quests, I'm not overly concerned. There's a Geomancer in them. And do I think it's a sneak peek? No, because Geomancer is really just Conjurers of the East. And I don't think they'll do the whole 1 class to 2 job thing. By next expansion, we very likely won't even have a class system anymore. They'll probably completely do away with it. So I like the idea of Geomancer, but what it is in the Astro Quest to me isn't satisfactory to what I'd expect of a Geomancer. To be fair, my expectations of a Geomancer are probably going to be nothing like what they are, but by Geomancer's definition, someone who manipulates the sort of the world around them, the elements around them. White Mage and Conjurer kind of fulfill that already, so we need to literally manipulate it in such a way that's interesting and diverse, as opposed to what it suggested it would be like through the Astrologian questline. Number 15, hi Haps, here's a bonus of a good Omega Savage raid tier. I don't think it'll be anything like Gordius. If it's like Creator Savage, I'll be content. You know, I hope that we get something closer to Midas in like 4.4, but I'm content with something between Creator and Midas for the time being. So some of my friends are telling me, I like how you put friends in quotes. That's very telling for how the rest of this will go. I need to play a certain race clan for my job to actually push the best numbers. Is this true? That's ultra min-maxing, and it's dumb. It's only not dumb if you're really pushing for speed kills. And like for Gordius, we had people race change for higher stats. Like if you weren't on a race that had the highest amount of stats possible, because it was like a matter of like 500 damage a lot of the times you'd wipe to. We had people do it for Gordius. For something like Creator, for like the way rating is since Gordius, no, that's dumb. Don't do that. Wait a minute. Didn't they do something to racial stats? Wait a minute. Huh. Didn't they just remove racial stats? Wait a minute. I just realized that. They removed racial stats. So they're even more wrong. Yeah, there you go. They still exist, but they're like, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I think that's the ultimate answer. All right, number 16. Howdy, Mr. Happy. For your continued efforts to support the community, I, Kiltastic Jones, would like to offer you a bonus of early Omega access for you and your team. I've got 2 questions today. If you can only answer one, the first is more important to me. I'll do that then, because we do have a lot of questions left. One, your Patreon says this for a $25 support level. I will order a shirt for you whenever I hold a Teespring campaign. You know, I actually have to change that because I think Twitch is ending Teespring campaigns, so I need to see what they do going forward. If I do a T-shirt campaign, I'll basically change it, and I'll send you one. How often does that happen? It depends. We've had a few things that we were waiting on to do, but now that Twitch is removing Teespring, we'll probably do something in the next few months or so. We just have to see how that pans out and if there's a follow-up plan to that. And then from there, we'll work on it. But it depends. It depends on, you know, if there's a specific reason to create a shirt or if there's like an anniversary or something like that. We didn't do a 3rd-year anniversary shirt only because, I don't know, we found it's just based on the patterns of the way that shirts have worked in general when doing anniversary style shirts for Twitch. So when it happens, but I can't say it guaranteed happens at a certain point. It's literally just a perk for people who want to do that on Patreon, but I don't even really push my Patreon all that much. It's just there for people who see it and want to use it more so than it is for, you know, getting more support. It's just like an option as opposed to something I push. So to go back on that other question earlier, I'm getting a lot of mixed reports from my Twitch chat regarding racial stats. They are not gone. They were changed quite a bit, but again, going back, the ultimate answer is no, your racial stats don't matter to that degree, so don't care about it. Hello, Mr. Happy. First question ever, so I have a bonus of perfect pre-post expansion beard throughout the rest of 14's life. You know what? For me, this is like the right amount of facial hair, maybe slightly more, just so I don't look as scrubbish. But yeah, give me a little bit more than this, and we'll be good. My question is a small detail to Bard. Please don't hate for the job question. Personally, I have no bad comments for the changes. However, I'd like to know if you or another source would recommend having a better idea to which use. No, dude, I have no idea. I straight up don't have an answer, and I don't know anyone who does have an answer to this. So yeah, unfortunately, it's a question I have no answer for. Number 18, hello to the happiest of misters. Hello. Not my first question, so no bonus. The rules are the rules, and I can appreciate that. Here's my question for you. Would you consider making a video about your experience with 1.0? Here, I'll give it to you right now. It took me 2 months of playing 10 hours a day to get my first level 50, which was Pugilist, to get a garbage skills called Simian Thrash, which would become ungarbage when Zamiel Darkhold came out and you could use Featherfoot, which was a 100% chance to dodge an attack, to proc Simian Thrash, because that's the only way that you could use Simian Thrash is when you dodge an attack, but Pugilists weren't good enough tanks to actually tank mobs most of the time, so you never fucking did that. Then, it was shit, so I left. Then I came back around the time Zamiel Darkhold came out, did it on Archer, or I think Bard might have been out at that time. No, I think it was still Archer at the time. Then Ifrit came out. All right, I killed Ifrit a bunch, whatever. It was fucking boring. I left. Came back a little bit towards the end to get my legacy status, and then nobody wanted to do anything because I didn't have any progress on the relic weapon. And if you didn't have progress on the relic weapon, no one wanted to fucking play with you because that was the only content there was in the whole fucking game. And then I waited till 2.0 came out. Hey, there you go. Whole video done. Number 19, Hap, I'm wading through the storm of blood to bring you a question this week. I've seen many tanks talk about how much harder it is to hold enmity now, and this is really tinfoil, but it's my theory Square Enix only switched their primary stat from Vit to Strength because of the changes to weakness. No, I agree. That's why I said it earlier in the video. I've been leveling Paladin. 60 to 63 is not really a designation of being able to speak intelligently about enmity. But I've noticed more so that the DPS that have diversion don't use it. And then also it's a combination of tanks trying to play like they used to play in Heavensward when they don't have the same damage output, or even when they're weakened and their damage is down, they're still trying to play exactly the same. So they'll do like one enmity combo and then like only do DPS combos, and then you'll have the DPS on top of that not to use diversion. So it's just like an additive thing between the efforts of all the different jobs. But I don't want to say it's not harder, because I don't know. It might be. It might fundamentally, because of the changes to strength being the main stat, be harder if you're not wearing those strength accessories like we mentioned earlier. It might fundamentally be harder, and I think it probably is. But I don't think it should be so bad to the degree where tanks are like constantly losing enmity. I see that a lot in dungeons where tanks just lose enmity to tons of targets, and then I do it and it's fine. So there's clearly other things missing when it comes to just general dungeon runs, but for other stuff later, there might be a little bit more to it. Number 20, hey Mr. Happy, long time watcher, first time asking. So first question bonus of Puppet Master being added to 14. You're my hero. You know that? So the question has to do with streaming. I've recently decided to recently, I'm going to assume is what you meant to say. I just read it as recently too. Decided to start streaming on Twitch, but I was wondering, since you've been doing it longer, is there a guide to Twitch? I'm finding it hard to figure out how to set up things on. I can get live stream and up and running, just not try to do anything else. It's just something I have to stumble through. There's like guides out there, like for like if you're like, oh, how do I, you know, make what's a good setting for OBS? You know, people will have all sorts of guides. You know, this is I stream at this, and this is what I do, and these are my computer parts. But you need to have a lot of information to know what you're doing on Twitch. You need to know what your internet is like, how stable is it. You need to make sure it's stable. You need to know what your upload speeds are. You need to know how bitrate interacts with your upload speeds. You need to know how having a lot of things on the screen affects your bitrate and how it transfers the data and the video and whatnot. You need to understand what background programs running on your computer that could affect performance, what background programs that can improve your performance, what other programs that you need, like Streamlabs is a very popular one. I started using one called Layer 1 while I'm live, which just basically gives me all my stats and a few other neat little tricks. I would recommend looking that up, layer1.io. There's a lot of different aspects to it, and it's mostly, as soon as you have one question, the best thing is to just Google that one question, find the answer to it, and then every time you have a question, to kind of do it that way. Because everyone has different opinions, everyone has different computers, everyone has different setups for their OBS. Some people use XSplit, some people use other programs. There's so many options, and on top of that, there's multiple streaming platforms that it's never consistent person to person. You can only take recommendations and then fine-tune it as you go. And that's kind of how I had to do it. I just kind of learned it as I went, and it took a while, but it's gotten to a point where it's at least okay. Number 21, hello, Mr. Happy. First time bonus of an off-road Regalia Mountain 14. How about just the Regalia? Because the monster truck one's pretty hilarious, but I don't know that I would want to actually drive around in that thing. Two quick questions. First, I started 14, 2 months before Stormblood getting the Heavensward pack. I'm really enjoying it at the moment. Feel like there's plenty to do. Is there any good reason to go out and get Stormblood now? Or just wait until I feel for the A Realm Reborn Heavensward stuff has been fully explored? That's on you, man. That's your purchase. If you need to ask me, then I think you already know the answer. The answer is what you want to do, which is always the answer. Secondly, I'm playing as White Mage main and just wondered why you think the developers felt the need to keep skills like Protect in the game when they are pretty much always used on all relevant jobs. Well, the main thing about Protect now is that you can use it and then abandon it if you want. If you don't know if people are going to die mid-fight, you'll still need to Protect. But in 4-man content, you'll take it. If nobody dies, you don't need it. Even if somebody dies, you can make a macro to switch between Protect and another roll action. So that way you can only need to take Protect when you actually need it. And then, on top of that, for 8-man groups, only one of the healers should reasonably need to take Protect, and even they could do the same thing, although one of you will probably want to still have it. It's just to, I don't know, but I do agree it's kind of redundant. They could just not have Protect in the game and just not have to scale with that extra, defense and magic defense, because you're always going to want it anyway. It's like a buff you will always make sure everyone has. You're never going to be like, nah, we don't need that for this fight. So it's so redundant that it's like, do we need it? No, I agree. Number 22, sup happy. This is going to be a quick question. Excellent. How does the Duty Finder penalty work after you get the first 30-minute penalty? I've only ever had that penalty like 2 or 3 times in my entire existence, so I don't know. Does it do a 24-hour if you fuck it up? I feel like if you fuck up the 30-minute one like 2 or 3 times, it sends you into 24-hour, but I don't know. I've never had more than the 30-minute lockout, and it's only been in like desperate times where I've had the 30-minute lockout, so I don't know. Number 23, hey there, Haps, long-time viewer, first-time asker. Take a bonus of a piping hot Philly cheesesteak. Oh, dude, I haven't had like an authentic Philly cheesesteak since I was like 13. Oh, so good. I have a few pretty interesting questions, so I will assort them in a roulette format so you can choose one. But since they contain massive spoilers, I'll let you give the thumbs up cue. Thank you for the heads up. So, ladies and gentlemen, if this is your first time seeing, what we do is whenever somebody says there's a spoiler coming, I remove the question from the screen itself. I give you a thumbs up, and then when I give you the thumbs up again, it means the spoiler's over. So this thumbs up means spoilers have begun. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, mute the video. So let's see, we've got 3 options here. I'm going to take the one in the middle. I kind of regret I feel like I was trolled. It says blitz balls being spiked our way. Make sure not to pee in the water. And you know what? I'm not even going to check the other questions. I'm just going to let you know, spoilers over. Wasn't a spoiler. It was dumb. All right, question number 24. Hello, 2 questions this week. One short, one not so short. They both look pretty short to me. One, this has been in my mind since the server changed, but Square Enix state why they can't have 2 different locations for the NA data centers. I mean, realistically you can, but you probably don't want to segregate players that much. Like, I don't know. I feel like within North America, they probably just don't want to segregate players that much. So they don't, because as soon as you do that, then you mostly only have East Coast people playing with East Coast, only West Coast people playing with West Coast. So you generally want something that's centralized, which I know based on where we believe we know the new servers are, they're not very centralized. So yeah, that would probably be why. Never really want to start. Any tips where to start, because I can never find the targets while I'm searching. Use Ariala. Look up Ariala Hunt Tracker and look for your server. And then basically all that'll tell you is when the last time it died is. If it's in a Realm Reborn hunt and it's an A rank, if it says it's been open for 1 hour, which is about 4 hours since its last death, means that you should be able to find it on the map if it wasn't sniped and unreported. Heaven's Word would be open for 2 hours when you see it on Ariala. Same with Stormblood. For S ranks, it depends on the S rank, but as long as it's open, it means that there's a potential someone could spawn it. But S ranks have very specific conditions to fulfill in order to spawn them. For example, Brontes in Central Thanalin requires you to eat food in his spawn areas, which are the general hunt spawn areas in Central Thanalin. So anywhere you've seen a hunt, you just go to eat food, and he could potentially spawn. And then you have one of the newer ones, Salt and Light, which you have to drop items into the lock celled, which is a part of one of the zones. So again, there's all these different conditions, and you're gonna have to go out of your way to learn these different conditions if you want to hunt efficiently. Number 25. Hello, Mr. Happy. I hope you get your doggies. I have not had any doggos yet, unfortunately. Here are my questions for this week. For the case of Grand Company Seals, is there anything I could spend them on that would be useful? I think most people are spending them on getting ventures, and leveling up their retainers currently seems to be the most effective use at the moment. Number 2, in the context of the new Tiger mount obtainable through hunt achievements, what do you think about the extremely difficult to obtain mounts? I think they're nice because when people get them, they genuinely feel like they earn and deserve them. That's something that people want to feel a lot in MMOs. I call it special snowflake syndrome, but you want to feel like you stand out from the other thousands of players in some way. And this is one of those things where if you have it done and somebody sees you with it, they're going to be like, whoa, no way, somebody has it. And you kind of stand out in that special way with the mount. So I'm okay with it. I don't need everything to be super obtainable, which is another reason why I like the PvP mounts, for example. I feel like those people very much deserve it, and they should be allowed to have mounts that are unique to them based on the season they competed in. Number 3, my free company has a little bit of internal turmoil because of DPS queues and tanks not responding as much as DPS expect them to help queue fast. I think Square Enix could do to motivate tanks to run the same roulette multiple times a day. I mean, they could give tanks specifically solo queue bonuses that they get for running those roulettes, and they could just give it to them more than once a day. But, I mean, that's a roulette. That's still not the same thing as getting them to come with you to queue to the dungeon you need. They're getting thrown in with thousands of other people. And this is always going to happen as long as tanks are kind of like this feared role where people just get like anxiety from playing it because they're one of the people holding the more major responsibilities. There's always going to be some sort of lopsidedness. That lopsidedness is a little bit more pushed into the front right now because Samurai and Red Mage were both released, and as expected, we have longer DPS queue times because of it. My number 1 thing is use your words. Join link shells, join free companies. You know, find people who are leveling tanks and also level your tanks and healers and things like that. Make sure you're helping each other to get what you need or what you want. And by the time most people start leveling some of their later jobs outside of the super hardcore people, they'll probably be more normal queues by then. Number 26. Hi, Mr. Happy. 3rd time asker, so sadly no bonus for you. But your cat can have some treats, catnip, or something. I like how people have started moving their bonuses over to Aloha. Anywho, I was just wondering what you personally think about introducing more class synergies. Thinking lately they should introduce more resistance down debuffs, such as magic, and introduce other synergies between specific classes. So the problem with specific class synergies is that it becomes mandatory to use those jobs together based on the community's form of meta. So even right now, like with a monk, you clearly wouldn't use a monk if you were using a shit ton of caster DPS. You'd want a predominantly physical DPS group for all reasons. Meanwhile, with something like, I guess, Bard. Bard works with anything because of the 2% crit buff and the 15% direct hit buff. Plus Troubadour's buff is another thing, but that's a defensive thing. So, again, what it creates is it creates situations where people find it's unplayable to play with one job and another job combined. You only want to ever play with the jobs that have exact synergies, which is kind of what happened in Heavensward with like Dragoon and the ranged DPS, which is how the ranged physical DPS became even more in meta than they already were, was because Dragoon had this unique synergy with just other Dragoons and just those other jobs. So there's a lot of problems you run into with super specific synergies where people just don't want to play anything except things with those exact synergies. And then it makes it a little more difficult to put groups together in an efficient manner. And I think it creates more problems than it ultimately solves. Next one, number 27. Hey, Mr. Happy, first time asker, have a bonus of a lifetime supply of waffles. I do have some maple syrup, some fresh from Canada maple syrup that I would like to use, so I'll accept it. So I've just started playing Monk and want to main it throughout the lifetime of Stormblood. Having trouble weaving in Tornado Kick. You don't weave it in. You just don't. You only use it when you're sure you're going to lose Grease Lightning. That's it. Am I going to lose Grease Lightning here? 100% sure? No way to maintain it? Tornado Kick. Otherwise, don't use it. Number 28. How's it going, Mr. Happy? I've watched your show for a long time, but this is the first time I'm asking a question. First time bonus of a year's supply of rice cakes that actually tastes like your favorite snack foods. I like rice cakes. Anyway, not sure if this would count as spoilers, but I'll put in the tags. All right, let's see if it's more spoiler than the last one I had to do. So, spoiler alert has been enabled. It means mute your microphones, and we will get rid of that. And let's see. Oh, I don't even really have an answer for this one. Like, I know what it's about, but I don't really have a good answer for it. What do you think of the House of the Crooked Coin in the Ozim Steppe is going to be used for anything? It's an awesome place to look at, but they put a lot of work into it just to be there for no reason. I mean, I don't have an answer, unfortunately. I mean, it looks cool. You'd hope they do something with it. I'd have to imagine that we're going to be getting more side story quests with the Al Ra and the Ozim Steppe anyway, and that the House of the Crooked Coin will probably play into that. That's it. That's what I got. Yep, spoiler over. That's it. Oh, okay. So remember when I was talking about earlier how the side quests actually have better narratives? I said specifically I didn't do them because I've been waiting to like not be rushing through side quests. It is part of a side quest already. And there is, and again, it's part of it's part of one of the Al Ra side quests in the Ozim Steppe. So yeah, be on the lookout. Number 29. Hi, Happy. Hi. My free company just got to the magic 45 mil to buy a mansion at the Hot. Oh, you're going to be trying to buy the one at the Hot Springs? Good fucking luck. We don't know when housing is going to be available yet. Please look forward to it. Reply number 30. That's what they say. They say reply on the forums. Hello, Mr. Happy. First time here to ask you a question. I've been playing 14 for a little over 2 years. Oh, man, that's a lot of text. My question is a little long, and you may not even like it, but I appreciate if you could answer it. To preface it, I truly enjoy watching your videos. Big fan of State of the Realm. This will factor into my question as someone who's been playing the game. Playing games his whole life, consider myself a hardcore gamer, a bunch of platinums, skill gap, main warrior. Oh, God, does this eventually boil down to a warrior question? You know, warrior got screwed over. Games are meant to be enjoyed. Holy shit. I don't even know where the question actually is. But this is a lot. Let's see. Games are meant to be enjoyed. I don't see the point in being upset at these changes when all the jobs still work as intended. My warrior keeps aggro just fine, even with Red Mage Samurai. You still do your job, then what is there to be upset about? Why is everyone acting like a 2-year-old who was told no ice cream after dinner? I know what you're going to say. Some have lost abilities that are vital. Others have been downgraded. But this is a typical for an MMO to shake up balance to have play. Oh, so basically you're like, why are people baby raging over the different changes to the jobs, even when some people who are still skilled are still somewhat playing them to an efficient level? It's a matter of fun. You play games to have fun. Games are meant to be enjoyed. And more importantly, I'd say games are meant to be enjoyed based on the individual's experience. And if the individual experience is, you know, I want to play this role, this job, you know, it's right for me. But then they change it and it's like, well, now people don't want me to play this job and I'm not having as much fun, not just because of them, but also because change. It does actually, it's not so much it's that they're crying like there's no ice cream. It's because a game is ultimately, you purchase a game to enjoy it as an individual, even if you're working together with other people. So when that experience that you've been paying for it monthly, you pay for it every 2 years with an expansion, is sullied in some way because of a lack of balance, it's a matter of how you approach it. It's better to voice your feedbacks and concerns about the way a job has been adjusted or changed than it is to, I guess, go full baby rage about it. You know, basically the difference between taking a mature stance to it and providing feedback and, you know, hoping that it's changed to something more satisfactory in the future versus being really loud on forums and just hoping people will listen to you with little to no major discussion actually involved. I guess, yeah, there's two different ways of going about it, but I feel like it's still justified to not be happy with a change. I don't think you just can't not be happy, because if, like I said, games are meant to be enjoyed, but if you're not enjoying that aspect of it, it shouldn't just be as simple as go play something else. It should be, you know, I provide my feedback, and I hope that my feedback is listened to, so I can enjoy the game. I think that's it. I think that's all there is to it. I don't think it's any more complicated than that. That's it. Number 31, howdy, and a Mr. Happy service announcement. For you, Quiz with Ethos, do you know all 55 commandments of the Sworn, which named Uldah's NPCs show up in the background for the pugilist quest of striking dummies in the streets? No fucking idea. All right, questions. A roulette. Choose all or some. Inventory, meshes, character, environment, races, missing attractions, allies, spoiler 2.0. Let's go with inventory. It's right at the top. So with all people playing to both allow for further inventory expansion, yet still trying not to buffer the servers, do you think we might see further inventory increases done with game quests? No. If they're going to give inventory increases, they're just going to give them to everybody. They're not going to make you do a little side quest to get more inventory. It's not really, it's ultimately something that should be considered expected, turned into content, because, you know, it's not even content. It's like, hey, you want to do this quest? Give you this? Okay. All right. It's like it'll be done in fucking 5 minutes anyway. Might as well just give it to us as it is. Number 32, Ahabs, haven't been around to stream too much, trying to get caught up on Stormblood, since life has put me behind. Anywho, something I've noticed and been frequently complained about is how many jobs feel incomplete at 60 now. This is pretty normal. When we moved from 50 to 60, it didn't feel that way, because it felt like they were just trying to tack on new abilities to what existed. For Stormblood, they're rebalancing everything so that it works at 70. You know, as you're leveling up, you'll still pick up skills that are vital to perform your job, but everything, including the job gauges especially, come together by the time you're level 70. So it's totally understandable for people to feel that way. That being said, that's just natural in terms of level progression. You know, something's going to be new between 60 and 70, and it's just a matter of how you take it. Like, I didn't feel Monk was less complete. I didn't feel like Samurai was less complete at 60, but it felt way better at 70. As soon as I hit 62 on Samurai, it was like, okay, this job was clearly designed for 70, but it still functions as a whole up to 60, and then gets way more interesting 60 to 70. White Mage didn't feel incomplete. Paladin didn't feel incomplete. Monk didn't feel incomplete. I don't know, Ninja still looks very complete, but they're always going to feel 100% complete at the level that the majority of the game's content is balanced for. So it's understandable to feel that way, but I don't feel like it's actually unbalanced at 60. Number 33, hey Haps, glad to see you really like Stormblood. Hey, damn right. Have you seen the 3-part no-clip documentary? I've not had the time to sit down and watch it yet, but I've heard excellent things. 2, what would you suggest they add to PvP? Better AFK checks, so that we don't have to constantly do it in the middle of a fight. I would like them to change the EXP to give you more XP based on a victory versus a loss. And I'm waiting for the 1v1 mode for, not the 1v1 mode, the only 2-team mode for 4.1, because I feel like we need something that's not just 3 teams for front lines. That's large scale. I feel like there's a lot of modes that become difficult to do when you have 3 teams. 3, in regards to your Twitch and YouTube, did the increase in viewership meet or expect your expectations? I try not to have crazy expectations, because when it comes to YouTube and Twitch, it's very easy to disappoint yourself in thinking, oh yeah, I'm worth this. I'm good for that. You know, they'll definitely, you know, sub for this. They'll definitely cheer for that. You know, you kind of set those expectations, and then it becomes all about those expectations, and it gets really awkward for everyone involved. So I try not to really do that. I just kind of make sure I do my best, and then the result is as good as, you know, it is. You know, if I'm doing better, or if I'm doing my best, then the results should show for it. And that should be it. That should be where my expectation lies. I don't want to hit that point where I feel like I deserve something based on my expectations, or I deserve something based on just being there, just producing the content. It needs to be better. It needs to be a better use of time. There's a lot of factors that go into it that aren't just strictly. So ultimately, did it exceed expectations? It didn't meet or exceed expectations. It was what it was to me. You know, it was a big event, and we had subs, and we had cheers, and we had tips, and YouTube videos got a lot of views, and that's it. That's you know, an expansion. You know, people are clamoring for new information and for answering new questions and stuff like that. So it is what it is. I don't really have a great answer for it. Next question. Hey yo, you skipped my question last week, so have a cookie. It's a really weird way to celebrate skipping a question. So just curious, when can we expect those 4.0 job versus videos? Not for a very long time. I don't remember when I released my first job versus video, but I feel like it was after 3.2. I think it was 3.2. I don't know. It's going to be a while because we need to make sure there aren't going to be any major balance changes. Or if there are, that I need to be ready to remake the videos. So if I do it now and then they do changes like in a week or two and then I do it again and then they do changes in 4.1 and then I do it again and then 4.2. So things have to stabilize. People have to get their hands on it in Savage. They need to see what tools are useful, what tools are not useful, and then we can do it. So, and not at least for another month and a half, I'd say at least. Number 35, Hola, Happy. Do you have any rough ideas of what jobs for each role are least played right now? Reddit poll suggests Machinist, Scholar, and Warrior. Yeah, that's accurate. I don't have to say anything else. That's accurate. And here we go with the final question over on the Dream Network forums. Hey, Haps, Anime Warzone here. First time askers have a bonus of Blitzball being added. Nah, only kidding. Here's one creative decision for the direction of the game to be made by you. I've been playing Monk for a little while now. I'm still wondering and questioning how to know if I'm hitting my positionals correctly. So here's what you're going to want to do. If you're hitting your positional correctly, it does more damage. Except on Boot Shine, where it's automatically going to crit. I mean, you can crit a Boot Shine without being on the rear, but if you're on the rear, it's going to crit. So that's the tell. You do more damage. It's better. That's the answer. That's it. That's all I got. All right, so anyway, that's the last question over on the Dream Network forums. I have time for a couple of questions from the Twitch chat, so I'm going to do a few. Just not too many. So let's get a couple. All right, so the first question I have from the Twitch chat. Mr. Happy, I've been playing MMOs for more than a decade and I've been through the ups and downs of class balancing. Can you speculate on why the community, especially in 14, gets so up in arms about class balancing? It's because they aren't playing Flavor of the Month? Dude, I don't know, man. I played MMOs for many, many years too, and every time somebody's preferred class is not, quote, in meta, I always see people up in arms. That's been true for like every MMO that I've pretty much ever seen. So it's just, it literally goes back to the answer from before, where you know, if people enjoy one aspect of the game, that aspect is, I don't want to use the word gutted. It's a bit hyperbolic, but yeah, I mean, when they're reduced in efficiency below other jobs to the point where literally no one wants to play with you, it's super frustrating. When you know you can do it, but people are telling you, nah, can't do it. It's not meta. And there are people that have no fucking right to be talking about meta because you're doing casual-ass content. So shut your fucking mouths. Ultimately, that's true. If you're doing extreme primals, you're like, nah, I can't take a warrior. It's not meta. You are the worst kind of person. You are ultimately the worst kind of person and don't deserve to be doing that extreme primal yourself. So, on that note, I don't know, man. People who have no right to get upset with meta get upset about meta. Pretty much, and that's what fucks everyone over. So yeah, I don't know, it's just in 14 it's even more prolific, I suppose, than I've noticed in other games, but it's still pretty standard in every MMO I've ever played. All right, the second question I have, and I don't know if this will be the last one yet, we'll see. Mr. Happy, I heard they were adding a second tier of rating and odd numbered patches equivalent to Savage Second Coil. Say anything about the rewards. Do you think it will provide an increase in item level? So let us be clear about one thing. It is not 100% similar to Savage Second Coil. For one, it will only be a single encounter. It is not an entire raid tier worth of encounters. Two, it will not be based on the most recent raid tier necessarily. For example, in 4.1, it's not going to be like a Super Savage version of something from Omega Delta. It could be, you know, a Super Savage Turn 13. It could be a Super Savage Ozma, for all we know. It could be a Super Savage, it could be Super Savage Twin Tanya. It could be Super Savage friggin' Turn 2. Who knows? It could be anything. It could even, maybe, who knows? Maybe they'll do Super Savage like Titan or something like that. It could be any encounter that was in the game before that they want to make a Super Savage version of. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Next, in terms of rewards, they said there will be a reward that wasn't just bragging rights. So, but I don't think there will be an item level increase through those because it's literally designed for 1% of the player base. Like, they're 100% clear. It is designed for the 1% of hardcore players that want that ridiculous challenge in a sense. So I don't expect it to really have great rewards. Expect it to be like you probably beat it once, and maybe if that's not enough times to get all the rewards for everybody, you'll do it again. But just don't expect it to be like an actual raid tier. It's more like a super intense single encounter for you and your raid team. All right, we had a bunch of other questions in the chat as well, but a lot of them were like pretty basic questions that I could answer in like maybe a sentence or two. So I spent a little bit of time answering those, but I'm not going to include those in the video. So we're going to just wrap this up right here. Thank you everyone for watching Mondays with Mr. Happy this week. Twitch chat, I'll be hanging out with you for a few more minutes. Those of you over on YouTube who are actually watching this on a Monday and not a Sunday, don't forget to check the description of the video. I promise. See, last week I was good with it. Last week I remembered to make the thread and put it in the description, and there was no problems. So I just need to do that again this week, and we'll be good. All right? I promise I'll do it. So check the description for the thread in order to ask the question there. Or you could show up at the Twitch chat. It's like around 12:30 p.m. Pacific every week on Sundays is about the time I start recording. So if you're around on Twitch around that time, you usually get to participate. But I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to rest a little bit and then head over to that barbecue for July 4th weekend. So if you're celebrating July 4th this weekend, be safe. Have a good time with your family, friends, whoever it is you may be spending it with. And I will see all you fine ladies and gentlemen for next week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Don't forget to join us this Tuesday for Spoilercast as well for Stay the Realm, where any of your spoiler questions will probably be answered. I'll see you guys then. And until then, take care.